bounced and bounced and bounced.
How do they survive? Watch Storm Stories on the Weather Channel tomorrow at 8 Eastern and Pacific.
College rivalries never die. That's why there's the ESPN Game Plan College Football Pay-Per-View Package. It's all the teams you want to see and all the ones you want to see beaten.
Be ready for life's delightful surprises with a white smile. With Rembrandt's new 2-Hour White. Only 2 hours for dramatic whitening. Get a white smile tonight. Rembrandt. And continue whitening while reducing plaque and tartar with the Rembrandt Mint toothpaste.
Taking garlic to help maintain normal cholesterol? Then you should know about Garlic. All-natural Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. Take 1 tablet of odor-free Garlic per day or up to 6 of some other brands. Garlic, cholesterol's natural enemy.
Well, let's count them. We have Larry, we have Kate, and now possibly Nora. Well, I'll tell you, the hurricane season has picked up a little here just overnight. Let's take a look at what I'm talking about so you can find out. We're starting off with a big broad picture where we do find our hurricane, once again, the second time around, Kate, sitting just to the southwest of the Azores. Then yet a little closer to home, and we have Larry now here just brewing across the southern areas of the Gulf of Mexico, and then you press off the screen and head over to the Pacific, and we have another tropical depression now. Whether it becomes Nora or not, we'll check in and see. But let's take a look at what's going on here with Hurricane Kate. Boy, if you remember, or rather Tropical Storm Larry, if you remember just last night, there was a large area of convection, and it looks like it finally gathered itself here over the last 12 hours, and we do have finally an area of low pressure. It's 300 miles east-southeast of Tampico, Mexico. It's not moving anywhere. It is stationary, and with this stationary storm over the next several days, we're going to be seeing a lot of convection skirting the Mexico coastal areas. We could be dealing with quite a bit of rain here, especially on the southwest area of our area of low pressure, which is right around here, the southwestern location, dealing with the heaviest of the rain. But nonetheless, this is stationary now and is expected to remain stationary here at least for the next 24 to 48 hours. Remember, we have our subtropical jet stream sitting here across the Gulf of Mexico. Seems to be robbing some of that moisture and wrapping it itself around it. So we continue to deal with some areas of convection, and eventually it may drift west-southwest a tad, but nonetheless, it's not expected to make any beeline to make any impact here across the U.S. In fact, the U.S. really does not have too much to worry about this because we have some very strong winds aloft coming in at about 60 to 90 miles per hour in the upper winds, and that's really going to keep our Larry a little further southward, at least for the next 72 hours on out. We'll be dealing with those strong winds aloft. So that's going to be one of our saving grace things we deal with here. All right, now let's focus in on Hurricane Kate. If you remember, it was a Hurricane Kate a while back, then it lost some of its strength, and now it's regenerated its strength. Hurricane second time around, Kate, with winds at 75 miles per hour as it moves west-southwest. Eventually, it will continue to track to the west. It's been pushed by our high pressure more on a westerly flow, and eventually it's going to take that west-northwest track and start to move on northward as a trough will take it away. It may look like it's heading towards the Bermuda area, but we're not expected to see that happen, as there is a trough out to sea just to the west of this that will eventually take it away. Now, let's take a look at our next system, Tropical Depression 14, sitting just right here to the west of Acapulco. Now, whether it strengthens over the next 24 hours or not, it is expected to slowly increase in intensity. So we'll wait and see. If it does, and it becomes a tropical storm, the next storm here in the Pacific is Nora. So, it's getting busy here in the tropics. We'll be right back. Here's your local on the 8s.
And a hurricane. Let's get started here with Tropical Storm Larry. Winds are at 50 miles per hour. The location, the center, is 300 miles east-southeast of Tampico, Mexico. It's stationary, and the pressure is 1,003 millibars. And it is expected to stay in the Bay of Campeche, which is right in here, over the next 4 to 5 days. And I'll talk about why here in just a moment. But our infrared satellite picture showing a little bit disorganized. I mean, the convection you could see to the north and to the south of it, and to actually find the exact center has been a little bit difficult. But it is still a tropical storm. A ship out here reported a wind over 50 miles per hour. So shipping interests should be very careful here, and oil rigs, of course, will be impacted too. In southern Texas, along the Gulf Coast, we're going to see some heavy surf and maybe some coastal flooding, so be careful. Now, it's going to stay in this area because we have some pretty strong westerly winds to the north of it. So that is going to keep it here into the Bay of Campeche. But everybody along the Gulf Coast should watch this, and of course, we'll keep you up to date. It is forecast to stay a tropical storm over the next couple of days. Now, we also have Hurricane Kate. Winds are at 85 miles per hour. Pressure is 979 millibars, moving west-southwest at 10 miles per hour. And it's to the west of Africa and to the east of Bermuda. And as you can see, an eye right in here, and it is forecast to continue on this track and then curve more towards the north and northeast. And we don't think it'll impact Bermuda at all. Good news there. Now, this is Tropical Storm Nora in the eastern Pacific, just south of Cabo San Lucas. Winds are at 40 miles per hour, moving west at 3. Pressure is 1,005 millibars. Upgraded to a tropical storm this morning. You can see a very small area here. Forecast to continue as a tropical storm and move towards the west. Nick?
Hurricane Isabel prevented many people from filing for unemployment. Now, Isabel is gone and filers are back. The Bloomberg Money Barometer looks at the mixed signals you could see in jobless figures.
Good morning. U.S. employers in September announced plans to cut fewer jobs than a month earlier, the lowest total in 4 months. According to a survey by Challenger Gray and Christmas, announcements last month fell to 75,500. That's 4.3% lower than nearly 80,000 announced in August. This news comes ahead of today's weekly initial jobless claims report and Friday's unemployment report for the month of September. Weekly jobless claims are expected to rise to 395,000. The increase may come after claims fell in the prior 2 weeks because Hurricane Isabel kept people from filing applications. Also, economists say companies may have eliminated jobs in September, while the unemployment rate probably increased to 6.2%. Ashland is one of the latest companies to reduce its headcount. The biggest U.S. road builder will eliminate about 500 jobs as part of a plan to reduce expenses. The company had net losses in 2 of the past 3 quarters as rainy weather slowed paving. For the Weather Channel, I'm Linda Bell with the Bloomberg Money Barometer.
Just 2 more rides to work left this week. Will they be wet, warm, dry, or cool?
Join travel analyst Dennis Smith as First Outlook continues. He'll have your commuter forecast.
This program was brought to you by Cadillac. Bold vehicles defying convention.
SRX Performance Utility. Breakthrough.
V8 Splash Smoothies. Refreshing. Nutritious. Energizing. It's about time something this good tasted this good. V8 Splash Smoothies. Drink smarter.
If you're tired of brush piles messing up your property, now there's a fast, easy solution. The professional power DR Chipper. Just feed in brush, branches, even tree limbs up to 4.5 inches thick, and out comes valuable wood chip mulch. Perfect for use around trees, shrubs, and plantings. Try out a DR Chipper for 30 days risk-free. Call 1-800-410-9292 for your free DR Chipper catalog and video. Online at drchipper.com.
Own a timeshare? Sell it for cash. Own a campground membership? Sell it for cash. Own a vacation property? Sell it for cash. In the last 6 months, over $1 billion in vacation timeshares have been sold industry-wide. Now's the time to sell or rent your property for cash.
And I'm Janetta Jones. It's 50 past the hour, and it's time for the Tropical Update.
Now we have several systems moving through the tropics. Let's take a look at the latest. And yeah, there's a lot going on. We have 3 different tropical systems out there to tell you about. The big picture showing Kate. Kate, actually very small, but it's a hurricane. It looks like it's definitely strengthening. Farther to the west, we have Larry. Larry back over toward the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. Here's our picture here showing Caribbean Sea looking fine, but let's focus right down through here, Bay of Campeche. In other words, southwestern Gulf, Bay of Campeche area. You can see a little twist in the clouds right there. Here's our latest information on Tropical Storm Larry. From the Hurricane Center, 10 a.m. Central Time advisory. It was about 300 miles east-southeast of Tampico. Top sustained winds around 50. Hurricane Hunter going out again today to investigate. It's stationary, so it's not moving very much, and that's what we expect probably the next day or two, but some locally heavy rain may lash areas of the Mexican coast. So the waves will be high, and you may get some heavy rainfall. Just some of the higher clouds are being pulled northward back to Florida. Again, the center is way down toward the Gulf of Mexico. I believe there's some oil rigs down that way too, so imagine the seas could be a little bit choppy. As we head farther to the east, back over toward Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, all looking good. Just 1 or 2 showers building up toward Barbuda off to your east and northeast. Even looking farther to the east, it looks sort of interesting, but if you look at the cloud structure here, you can see the winds are from the west. They're blowing the clouds apart pretty good, so don't look for any tropical development with that little feature. Now here's Kate. Kate's trying to make up its mind which way to go. North, northeast, curving the west. Now it is moving west-southwest at 9, and that is the general direction that we should find Kate moving for a while. It's 1,225 miles east-southeast of Bermuda. Of course, Bermuda took a direct hit earlier this year. Then there was that last system that brushed by Bermuda. Of course, you want to keep an eye on this one. 85 miles per hour, but look at this. I would say may have been some strengthening. The eye wall right here looks like it's in pretty good shape. It's not that large in size, but you can definitely discern the eye very easily here. It looks like it's a pretty good structure to it, so it wouldn't be surprising at all to see some continued strengthening. Now back over to the Pacific side. Here's Nora, Tropical Storm Nora, 510 south of Cabo San Lucas. Pressure's estimated. We should see Nora slowly making its way off to the west and gradually pulling farther away from Mexico. That's the way it's looking across the tropics. Now let's head back to the States with Janetta.
All right, as we check out Storm Watch, we can tell you that showers and thunder showers are a possibility across the southwest today. We're also finding that potential for scattered showers in the northeast as we've got a little disturbance that's moving through the area, and that could lead to some difficult travel for you, let's say, in western New York State and Pennsylvania. We've even seen the possibility of some snow mixing with the rain, so that may hit your windshield, and you may think, is that snow or is that rain? Could be a little bit of both, actually. Not expecting big accumulations like what we saw across the Great Lakes yesterday. And notice they're stalled out front across parts of Florida, leading to some scattered showers today. Hopefully not heavy rainfall. You don't need any more in Florida, do you? Not at all. So that's the way things stand on the current surface map. Basically, high pressure is in control everywhere from Chicago to Atlanta and just about everywhere in between, too. It was a very cold start to the day. Many locations underneath that big dome of high pressure. Much colder than average. We had temperatures in the teens and the 20s and all kinds of record lows. Right now, we're looking into the afternoon hours and the evening hours for that chance for strong thunderstorms in the southwest, as well as parts of South Florida and into the northeast. Now, we take you in to the western half of the country where the showers are a little bit on the wet side there for you around Gunnison and back through parts of Colorado. And yeah, we may see more of that today. And scattered showers are a possibility in Florida, even though you're not getting a whole lot right now. That could certainly change. On into the northeast, watch as we have that counterclockwise rotation in the clouds. That's the low that's moving on through in the upper levels of the atmosphere, spreading the scattered showers from Syracuse back through Buffalo, as well as Erie and Bradford, Pennsylvania. Do expect a little bit of light snow mixing in with that rain, but no accumulation there. So everything across the country looking fairly nice. No big widespread outbreaks of severe weather, and certainly temperatures are another big story.
That's right, staying pretty cold across the northern part of the country. We'll have much more on today's current conditions and your forecast after we update your local on the 8s.
Your extended forecast.
Welcome back to PM Edition. It's 10 minutes before the hour, and that means it's time for your tropical update, and there are several areas we're watching. Let's take a look at the big picture, and here's what we're seeing as we go out across the Atlantic. We are watching Hurricane Kate, but we're also watching a system in the southwestern Gulf, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. We want to start out, though, with Hurricane Kate, which is now centered about 1,160 miles east-southeastern Bermuda. The winds are up to 90 miles per hour, and it's moving to the west-southwest at 10 miles per hour with the pressure estimated at 976 millibars. And here's how it looks on the satellite view. And again, you can certainly see where the eye is. We think that it's not going to be much of an impact to any land mass, so there's some good news, but certainly something we're continuing to keep an eye on. Certainly a point of interest here. Something else that's a little closer to home is what's going on here in the Bay of Campeche. We have a tropical storm, Larry. You can see the clouds here, and what we are dealing with is a system that's centered about 185 miles east-northeast of Veracruz, Mexico. Winds 60 miles per hour. At this point, we're not seeing much movement at all. It's more or less stationary, but we do think it's going to eventually move off to the south or the south-southwest, and that could certainly will impact parts of Mexico here. We'll take a look at some of the watches and warnings that are already in effect. Here's just a closer view, and probably already beginning to see some rain moving in here to some of the coastal areas, and you can look for more of that. And remember that we do have tropical storm warnings in effect from Veracruz, Mexico, over toward Campeche, and we also have for that same area hurricane watches that are in effect. Well, now let's head to the eastern Pacific, where we have tropical storm Nora, but we're also watching an area of disturbed weather in this area that we're going to continue to keep an eye on. But the latest on Nora has it centered about 545 miles south of Cabo San Lucas. The wind's 45 miles per hour, and it's not moving much either, mostly stationary. And the pressure, 1,002 millibars. And we, again, don't think it's going to have an impact on land, but it's something interesting, certainly, to look at. Well, now let's see what's going on a little closer to home here across the U.S. Several areas we're watching. In the west, rain and thunderstorms. In the northeast, some wet weather. We've also had some rain in Florida, but it's certainly showing a diminishing trend. And with some of this wet weather and even some wintry weather in the northeast, we've had some cooler weather moving in. Lots of 40s here through the Lakes region and into the northeast. So lots of areas have stayed in the 40s today, and it's definitely going to get colder tonight. And with that, we have a number of frost and freeze advisories in effect from the northeast all the way down into North Carolina. So we'll have to make sure you protect those plants because it is going to be a chilly one. Well, here's some of the wet weather, and we've, again, in some of the higher elevations seen some snow, and we can't rule out more of that this evening here through New York and on into New England. I'm not expecting any tremendous amounts of snow, but a little bit is a possibility. The wet weather showing a diminishing trend, especially on the western edges, so look for that trend to continue. Farther southward, we have had some wet weather here in Florida, but nothing terribly widespread, and actually it looks like things are quieting down for you. And finally, back to the west, an area that's not quiet at all. Rain and thunderstorms from Nevada to the Four Corners region. Lots of lightning strikes here, so watch out for that, and maybe some locally heavy downpours. Thunderstorms there, as well as potential in a few areas in the east, but certainly the most active weather is here across the west. Your forecast for the northeast, a little warmer tomorrow. Lots of sunshine from Boston to D.C. with temperatures near 60 for highs. Farther southward in the 80s along the Gulf Coast, but do watch out around Miami. While you will be warm around 87, you could have some scattered thunderstorms tomorrow. Farther northward, it's rain in the morning hours in Minneapolis, and then through the day, that rain is going to push eastward right into Chicago with a high of 55. And finally, back to the west, we think you'll have a mild day in the northwest in the 70s, but look for some windy conditions in San Francisco with a high of 69.
And that's a look at Friday's weather. Coming up on the second hour of PM Edition, we'll take this forecast through the weekend.
But first, your local on the 8s.
College rivalries never die. That's why there's the ESPN Game Plan College Football Pay-Per-View Package. It's all the teams you want to see and all the ones you want to see beaten.
We have a lot to protect in Mercer County. Our open space, our history of innovation. That's why freeholder Brian Hughes preserved thousands of acres of open space and created the Historic Preservation Commission.
As county executive, I'll keep working to bring more business here, but in a smart way, so we can protect our open space and hold down property taxes.
Democrat Brian Hughes for county executive. He'll never stop fighting for us.